Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And of course, I'm from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above, directly WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out. Day Pass is available if you want to try us out. That being said, if you're new to this channel, welcome. You've come to the right place for some free fire DFS content. Make sure you subscribe, hit notifications bell. Don't miss out on any of the free content we put out, currently covering MLB slates Monday through Friday, meaning we stream live Sunday night through Thursday night with our first look. We had a little NFL pre-show, I think it was 2 weeks ago. And next week, Wednesday night, will be first official week one DFS first look podcast. Excited about that. With myself, Patio Joe, Paulie D. Pat Bush, what's going on, bro? Good to see you. Since how was your weekend? My weekend was okay. DFS wise, I did well Friday and Saturday, but failed to cash today. Your White Sox stacks for Friday paid off, man. I'm glad you hopped on that, man. I had a lot of pivots that I made again on Friday. It didn't work out too well for me. I had like a lot of the right stuff, just the wrong pieces of them. You know, like the wrong players in the stack mixed with. But yeah, I think the article did all right, though, right? Nola wasn't all that great, though. That sucked. But at that point, I was just happy Nola's game didn't get canceled because of the COVID contact tracing. They delayed the game, all that shit. But Sunday was decent for me, though. Sunday actually was decent for me. Went back to the White Sox and Rays. It is good, man. So I'm glad it worked out for you, Pat. Weekend was pretty good, and I'm ready, refreshed for another week of the grind. You know, the grind, man. Family life, being a dad, running WiseTake, running Card Breakers, my other business. For those of you that are interested in sports cards, if you like card breaks, all that kind of stuff, hit me up or go to the Card Breakers Facebook group and get busy. We got a website. We're working on some shit, but you know. Pat Bush said Saturday had the Yankees low on. Yeah, the Yankees on the road are gonna be low on, man. They've been people just the winning streak's real, but I mean I know they lost, but you know, people are I think a little skeptical when they go on the road. They've been burned too many times chasing the Yankees this season. Nathan Berrios did me good today. Yeah, man, he did me good too. I don't think he was in my best team. I forgot. I think it was yeah, it was Dylan Cease, obviously, was chalk. He was in my best squad. Went on McGill. That's never, you know, so he's a little scary, but he came through. So shout out to McGill. Anyway, we've got 9-game slate to get into, so we'll go ahead and get it rolling with our top pitchers for today. So Corbin Burns is the most expensive pitcher for good reason. Best numbers on the slate overall. He's been a little suspect. I know that. He gets a massive park boost out there in San Francisco. One thing we know about the Giants, though, is they have a 199 ISO, a 107 WRC plus to righties, but a 25.2% K rate. So there is some upside to be had. Zach Wheeler against Washington. I'm wondering if this one draws a little bit more ownership. Again, McGill had a decent day, and I think people would agree that Wheeler is better than McGill. So the lesser of two evils, right? I could see people settling, preferring Wheeler, thinking he's got the least path to resistance. Pat Bush asked a good question. Can we trust Burns? I'm wondering what people do. In cash games, I would follow the herd. So if Wheeler is projecting to be higher owned in cash, I would just go with Wheeler. But in tournaments, I do think I like Burns. I do expect to see Wheeler get more love. He's cheaper. And again, I think he's got a matchup that on paper looks a little better, right? But Burns has more strikeout upside, not just by a higher strikeout rate from him, but also by his opponent, right? Washington, a little tougher to strike out than I think people give him credit for. 21.9% K rate on the season. Compare that to the Giants at 25.2 against righties. Robbie Ray's kind of a wild card. He's at home, which is better than Baltimore. Baltimore has maintained a positive WRC plus against lefties, but they have kind of slid down the rankings. Still above average. I still like Robbie Ray. He's just having a phenomenal season. Dude looks great, right? So he's your option 3 or whatever. But I do think Wheeler and Burns get some love in cash games for sure. Urias is an interesting tournament play, but a scary one. His strikeout rate isn't as high, so that's a little alarming. He's playing an Atlanta team that, where are they? While they only have a 96 WRC plus against lefties, they do have a 184 ISO and only a 22% K rate. So some red flags, but he's there. Luis Garcia, low on late night hammer. This is maybe some GPP love here, right? We've got a 2.98 Sierra, 28% K rate. Playing in Seattle, which is a very pitcher-friendly park, against Seattle, who's got a 25.7% K rate on the year. They've had their moments, Seattle, but overall, on the season, the numbers are still down. So I think Luis Garcia could also be a very interesting, maybe a lower-owned alternative to some of those players we talked about above. German Marquez, Pat Bush, man, I know this is your boy. Now, you like to play him dirty when he's going to have low ownership in like Coors Field or something. His ownership may be a little higher on DraftKings on this slate because he's 8.5. He's in SB2 territory. But he is on the road, which is a massive park boost for him anyway, against the Texas Rangers, who have a 24% K rate against righties this season. With a 152 ISO, 291 WOBA, 291 WOBA, slow it down a little bit, and an 84 WRC plus against righties. So I think German is heavily in play. After that, there's really not a ton, right? I think, so first of all, I've addressed Chris Paddock just to kind of put it out there. So he was on the 60-day DL, I believe. Is that right? He's missed, I think his last start was like in July, the end of July. I don't know if they moved him off of it or so. Or maybe they just kept 10-daying him. Yeah, he hasn't made a start since July 27th. So it's literally been about a month, right? A little over a month. He had a strained oblique, but he didn't have a rehab assignment. So he just threw bullpens. So you would think he's going to get eased in. Like you would think he's going to get eased in. I don't know what that limitation is. Maybe we get more information on it. He's only 5'6", but damn. So you know I had a good weekend when I'm fucking yawning. First show of the week like this. My apologies, nation. But yeah, just gonna throw that out there with Chris Paddock. All right. That being said, the only other cheap option that I could really kind of figure out, and again, Corey Kluber's like opening. I think he's on a limitation. It would be Nick Pavetta. 26% K rate. As good as the Rays are, they do have a lot of strikeout happy players, right? It's a tough road, but this game actually has a fairly low total. Like Boston's an underdog in this game, only implied for 4.1 runs. The Rays only implied for 4.5. This game's in Tampa, so it's a massive park boost for Pavetta. So he's interesting as an SP2 in tournaments at 6'8", but at the same time, it's hard to say that because the Rays have been very, very good to me this season. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. Yeah, Pat, that's true, man. Pat Bush in the chat saying that German Marquez, the Texas Rangers have had some pop in their bats. Nathan Wagner, okay. I see you would have won. I wonder if his ownership might lower with Texas hot last 2 games. It's possible, but probably not. I think most people kind of look at, most seasoned people try to look at larger samples, but there are a lot of new people out there that are newer to the game that kind of chase recency bias a lot. So that's true. Definitely going to depend on ownership too. For sure. All right, offenses. The Blue Jays, number 1. They're applied for like 6.1 runs. Against Chris Ellis, they're at home. Baltimore's bullpen's been terrible. Don't have a ton of stats on Chris Ellis just yet, but he's new. Blue Jays, obviously a top offense, right? Is what it is. They will be the chalk. And the only reason that they are not as popular as they should be, if that's the case, is because people don't have a cheap SP2, and a lot of the Blue Jays are expensive. But we could just see the cheaper guys get some love. But yeah, they're number 1. The Dodgers are at home against Drew Smyly, whose numbers are not great. The Dodgers against lefties, only a 98 WRC plus, but they do have a 182 ISO, so they've improved in that department. So I think the Dodgers will get some attention here against Drew Smiley. The Padres have not been good against lefties. Let's put that out there. Padres against lefties, 22% K rate, 143 ISO, 307 WOBO, 93 WRC plus. But they will play the young Tyler Gilbert. I don't have his information checked, but he is a lefty. 5.03 xFIP, 5.13 Sierra, 18.2% K rate. That's the big one, right? If they're going to put the ball in play, that's what we're looking for. So yeah, I think the Padres are also worth some consideration, and I think they will get some ownership. The Phillies against Josiah Gray. So Josiah Gray, 27.8% K rate. You could argue to pitch him, but the reason I had this on the stack list is because of his 58.9% fly ball rate. Now, it's small samples, but that's just a massive fly ball rate. So I know that the Phillies lost Rhys Hoskins. He was red hot again. Lost him again. Disaster. But either way, I think Philly could. Maybe they're a little lower owned, but there's really not a ton of high totals on this slate. There's not like a ton of offenses. Like the Blue Jays are significantly implied for more runs than everyone else. Last but not least, the Astros. Not in a great park out in Seattle, but they'll go against Chris Flexen, who's been the ultimate troll this year, but has a 16.5% K rate. Like anytime you know players are going to put the ball in play, you're at least interested. Flexen has managed to escape. 3.54 ERA is not bad, but you can see a 4.47 xFIP, 4.6 Sierra, significantly higher. So put the Astros on the list. They do got Bregman back, starting to get a little more healthy. You could add them to the list. Things to watch. And I see Roger Blackburn, already mentioned his name. AJ Alexi. Oh, okay, he's not on my list here. But AJ Alexi, I will add him into the projections and all that good shit. But let's take a look. I did have his minor league numbers pulled up. So this kid, this was his first year in AAA, and he only made 3 starts in AAA. He did spend most of the season in AA, where he had 13 appearances, 7 actual starts. All 3 of his appearances in AAA were starts. So he had a 1.84 ERA in AAA, a 1.61 ERA. He did have a 4.37 xFIP in both. Batting average balls in play was very low, 2.32, 2.33. So that tells us that maybe on the balls that were put into play, he was maybe a little lucky, but what's impressive is he does have some pretty strong strikeout rates throughout both levels. Looks like a 28.8% K rate in his AA appearances and a 33.3% in his 3 AAA starts. So yeah, he's very cheap. I think on DraftKings, what is he, the site minimum or something like that? Find him real quick. AJ, yeah, 4.7. He's at the minimum. 4.7 on DraftKings against the Rockies. Who, to be clear, the Rockies are, dead last in WRC plus against righties, by 4 points. So yeah, I think that's something to keep an eye on as far as a way to start off the things to watch segment. Yankees at LA. So the Yankees have been a hot offense. I know they kind of cooled it down the last couple games in Oakland, but in general, they've been playing good baseball. The Angels bullpen is not good. We're not sure who is starting for the Angels, so keep an eye out on that. Could be a low-owned offense worth taking a shot on. Well, I'm assuming they're low-owned, depending on who it is. I saw that it could be like Quintana. That could raise the ownership a little bit, but either way, it's, a lot of the time there's an East Coast bias, right? People take the early games with lineups out and all that shit. Last but not least, the Red Sox and Luis Pitino. Man, Pitino looked good in the minors. Hasn't looked so great in the majors. Has had flashes of upside. But again, it's kind of like Boston an underdog with a 4.1 implied run total. It is in Tampa. So either you got a low-owned Boston team with plenty of upside against a struggling Luis Pitino, or you get a cheap SP2, right? Or you just don't play either. Those are the things I have to keep an eye on. Pat Bush, Angel Stack from your article nearly got me a takedown. That's what's up, man. I played the Angels that day too. I got close to like the nuts, but I had a really bad stack mixed in. I think the Rays let me down that day. I had the Rays mixed into like all my teams and like 3-mans, and even the one with the Angels just didn't do enough. I think I may have min cashed one team, but you would think that with the Angels being in there that I would have had a good day. But I'm glad you did, Pat, man. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad you did. that's the thing I'll say about the article. Now, and I usually write, 2 to 3 stacks in the chalky section, 2 to 3 stacks in the lower own section. So I'm not trying to pretend that I'm perfect. A lot of the time I have things in there that aren't great, but usually somewhere in the mess, right? Somewhere in my player pool, whether somewhere in the pitching pool, somewhere in the stacks pool, I usually have like the nuts. It's just a matter of putting them together, and I myself struggle with that. So, but I'm glad that a lot of you have been able to take advantage of it, and I look forward to continuing it for the rest of the season. We got NFL coming up. I'll be doing that for NFL too. Dong Watch, and we're out of here. I'm going with AJ Pollock, number 1. Want to take a Dodger. Teoscar Hernandez, number 2 of Toronto, and Tommy Pham, number 3, one of their better lefty mashers. And that is going to do it for this edition of the MLB Y stream. I appreciate those of you who took the time to watch us live, hang out with us live. Appreciate those of you who took the time to watch after the fact. Please hit the like button on your way out if you have not already. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Yes.